never imagined to be where I'm at after all I've been through the last couple of years. I was a professional dancer in Hollywood, doing things like step-up movies, TV shows. And then during that time, I almost lost my brother to a traumatic brain injury from a motorcycle accident. During the time my brother was in the ICU, I didn't know if I was gonna lose him or not. Not only was I living for myself now, but I had to live for him. He was my biggest inspiration, my mentor, and my brother more than anything else. I chose to dedicate my life to push people, motivate them, drive them to be the best version of themselves. Whatever you do not let the past define you. Overcome it. Train, build up the courage for those around you. Be a testimony. This is what I've learned, and this is my story.
Hi, my name is Anthony, and I'm a commercial DP/videographer here in Orlando, Florida. And this video is going to be slightly different than what we've seen on the channel prior. It is going to be a behind the scenes, nitty gritty, what happened on the day of real world capture. But it's also going to include a lighting breakdown of our actual interview scene. As you'll find out pretty soon, we had zero time to get what we were shooting. We faced a lot of issues, but we overcame them with post-production as well as some little tips and tricks during the shoot that I can't wait to share with you. I'm also going to go through the video with you guys and go shot by shot and give you an inside look as to what I was even thinking when I was on location getting that certain shot with the story in mind. Like I mentioned, we had very little time to get all the shots we needed. We had 2 locations and one of them was an interview setup, and we had 5 hours total. That's not even the hardest part. We found out we were shooting this video the night before, so we had 18 hours to conceptualize the video and 5 hours to actually execute the videos. I'm choosing to make a lot of these behind the scenes videos for the channel because I've learned so much from seeing people actually on set, making mistakes, doing things right, planning things, and seeing that plan come to life. So I hope you enjoy this video and you actually learn something from us frantically running around and making things on the spot, as well as seeing our vision come to life. All right, guys, welcome to the behind the scenes of the production that we're going to be doing. We're going to be shooting with the Ronin 4D, if I can get it out. Yep. So I'm going to be shooting with the Ronin 4D and the Panasonic S5iix. Angel's actually doing behind the scenes with that camera, so I can't show you. But if you'll follow me here, you'll see all the stuff we're shooting with. Here's a monitor. We're using these little June lights. These are actually going to be saving our butt on this set because we were supposed to be filming outdoors, so it would have been a lot easier to just grab a reflector and diffuse the natural light, but now we're not. So we're shooting everything indoors because it's raining outside. That's actually why we're not on location right now, and we're just shooting this behind the scenes. So we have that, we have some reflectors, different accessories for the other lights that we're using. So if you want to follow me out here, this little mess. Right here we have the Forza 720. We actually weren't going to bring this light, but now that we're shooting indoors and it's a large location, we really want to fill the whole area with good light. Diffusion, got our tripods. We have these 4-foot Nanlite Pavo tubes because we're going to be doing some dancing B-roll. So we want to add color, have practicals, make it interesting than just someone dancing in a dance studio. So the really helpful thing with the small lights that we have is that we don't have to use heavy stands when we want to use them. Like for example, we have the X100 right here if you want to point the camera at the X100. This is just providing inside light while we're filming, but it was super easy to just have it, use it, bounce it off the ceiling, do all these different things. Yeah, and just have it as a practical, have it as some fill light, whatever need be. And we could use these light stands with it because they're not super heavy, so really helps. Then we have our cart and our sandbag, and it actually looks, you could put, it actually looks like it's not raining anymore. So Let's go. Let's get it. All right, so this part is wild. The rain did stop and we did go to the track, but everything was locked, so we were stuck outside. The crazy part is that we were at the right place at the right time, spoke to the right people, and ended up speaking to the principal that's only there 15-30 minutes a day, and caught them at the right time, and they let us film there with no permits, nothing, which is kind of crazy for high school. We really dodged a bullet there and are super grateful because that would have eaten into a lot of the production time that we already didn't really have. All right, so we're on the track. It's wild that it stopped raining right when we needed to, so we're actually able to get the outdoor shots like we planned on. We might not get the interview out here, but here's our talent, Fernando.
Go on, guys.
Solid dude. We're just gonna get him running, just doing some active motivational things that line up with the interview and his story in general. So yeah, follow us. We're gonna be doing some of the first shots with the 16-28 just to establish the location, and then we'll go tighter. We'll use the 28-70. The good thing about the 4D is I really don't have to do a lot of setup. This is pretty much it. Just unlocking these things and then the gimbal's set and ready to go. So just got to set the appropriate amount of ND, white balance. Yeah, and then I think we're good.
Yeah, put your gooseneck on there. You go.
Gooseneck. So here I am composing the shot, trying to get it to look good. This is actually the intro shot to the video where he walks in a frame, and it was 100% improvised. We did not have it planned whatsoever. I probably got the inspiration from some random Nike commercial that I've seen at some point. But in my opinion, it ended up working out. I really like how it created tension within the beginning of the film. You could hear Fernando's voice, you hear the crickets, the sound effects that were added in post, and it builds this curiosity and tension, in my opinion, that I really enjoyed. The shot we're setting up for now was originally supposed to be our intro shot, but it ended up being the second shot in the video that cut with that close-up of him taking off. It worked really well, and as a common theme throughout this video, it was not planned whatsoever, but the Ronin 4D really came in clutch for this because we wanted to show a lot of motion right off the bat. Oh gosh, I just ran, so I'm like really tired with this big thing, but I want to choose a wider lens just because it gives more motion to the frame. So if he's not going ridiculously fast, it'll at least look like he's going a little faster because the background's moving, all these other things are moving at the same time. But right now we're going a little tighter. Woo! Just to get different shots, just different things we can use in the editing room. And I'm gonna pretend like I just stopped and drop into it. So there's a point, I'm like dripping sweat from running after him, and this is Florida, so the humidity is wild. But there's a point in his story where he's gonna talk about his brother and a loss of hardship. So right now we're trying to get some shots just to match that. So yeah, he has a memento of his brother, so I'm gonna get some of his face looking somber and serious, but also determined, as well as some close-ups of his hands fiddling with the memento of his brother, just so you can have some visuals as he's talking about it during the story. And rolling. Action. So for this next shot, instead of just getting a close-up of where we were already standing, we went to the other side just to make it more interesting, almost make it seem like there's two different cameras getting two different angles and add to the production value. I don't know if it actually did, but that's what we did. So these shots that we're grabbing right now, we actually didn't use in the final edit. And a lot of these shots were better than the ones I even used in the video, but they didn't fit the story. One thing I tell myself all the time is to not marry certain shots. So even if it was the best shot of the day and it doesn't fit the story, I will choose a less quote unquote cinematic shot specifically because it won't confuse viewers and adds to the story instead of take away. So these were the last shots we got at the track before we went to our second location to set up the interview. I chose to use the S5iix because it let me get more nimble, lower to the ground, a lot easier than the Ronin 4D. And I had AJ hold up a reflector just to fill in a little bit of the shadows. To be honest, it didn't really do that much, and I could have just done it in post, but it helped a little bit, I guess. slay the day. Yo, he's happy, bro. Get his emotion, bro. Tell a story.
I need a tear down his face.
Yeah. Yeah, bro, this is it. This is where we're filming. Because we'll film right here, and we'll get all the stuff out, and then we could put Pavo tubes on the places because I have some magnets.
On the post? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where we're filming. We arrived to our second location. The first location was really hot and sweaty and just nuts. Right now we're gonna be filming some interview setups in this big gym and actually get Fernando's story of his brother, where he was prior, where he is now, and how he got to where he is now. We're gonna be asking a couple questions during the interview just to provoke a good story. These lights are actually super useful. They're actually gonna backlight our subject a little bit. They're beautiful practicals, but they're gonna provide a source where we can actually backlight our subject well. It's called motivated lighting. So what that means is there's a practical source of light within the frame that will trick the viewer's eye to think that the source we're using is actually emitting off those lights. So you can follow us, you'll see our lighting setup. So for our key, we have a 720, which it might be a lot of power for the room that we're in, but what this does is we have enough power to level out the exposure within the room and not have it as bright as it is, because without this ND, this room is actually extremely bright. So what we can do with this really powerful light is we can balance the exposure and outpower all the lights that are on. We're gonna be bouncing it off of that reflector because we don't have a grid or anything like that. But we have the Fresnel, so we can direct the light specifically on the little circle so it's acting as a softbox. Look at this man. The man with the freaking extension cords.
So this is my first time doing a lighting breakdown in this way. So if you have any questions whatsoever, just feel free to comment them below and I'll get to them. Here are the two finished shots and we'll go over each light that we used, why we used it the way that we used it, and just give you the full breakdown. Here are all of our lights turned off and we'll just start right away with the key light. As I mentioned earlier, we're using the Forza 720 and we are bouncing it off a reflector using this Fresnel with the barn doors, keeping any hard light from spilling onto our subject and directing it straight onto the reflector, which bounced off and gave us this really soft key. The power of this light as well as the Fresnel really came in clutch because we didn't have all the tools that we would normally have on a bigger set. With that being said though, having these Nanlite Pavo tubes on set made it really easy to just shine light wherever we needed. Like for example, this background right here, it was fading into black, so we threw a Pavo tube there. And we also put one on the other side of his face. We stuck it to the metal pole to give him a blue fill light to get this orange and teal look that you'll see later on in the video. For the corner on this side angle, we added another Pavo tube to give us an interesting flare slash glow on the frame. I really wish we had behind the scenes footage for all of this, but that was our side angle camera, so we couldn't. But here's where it gets really interesting. We used those tiny June lights to create some color contrast with the orange and teal. Here's AJ explaining it, but he wasn't able to finish because I needed him for something else. But we were shining the lights through these weight bands just to break it up and create some interesting shadows in the background. And we wedged the light in between some weight plates. But all that to say, it's super useful having these small tiny lights from Nanlite, from June, that we can use that are battery powered, as well as super small and nimble. That was one of the main reasons why this lighting setup was even possible to begin with on such a short time and small budget. All right, let's break it all down. So first we have the key light, which is being bounced off a reflector from the 720. Then this is specifically only for the side angle, which is just adding light to the wall so it doesn't go into black. Then we add some blue to the other side of his face with a Pavo tube. And then finally, we added some visual interest to the background with the June lights just to create some color contrast as well as add texture with light and bands and all of that.
And we're back in the studio, and there's a ton that we went over. Obviously, the lighting breakdown you just saw, as well as shot motivation, mistakes that we made, and things that we just came up with on the spot. There's a specific reason why I wanted to make this BTS. A lot of times in this industry, if you're a videographer, cinematographer, work with production companies, whatever it may be, people like to paint a picture that they do a perfect job and nothing goes wrong and they're so professional. And I understand that, I get it, it's a business, but I really wanted to just show you a raw behind the scenes, things going wrong. There are some things that I really didn't know what I was doing entirely and just figured it out as I was doing it. So it's like so it's shaky. And it is a little vulnerable for me to put this content out, but I figured it would be helpful and maybe take off the stress for people that are maybe doing their first job, or they feel like they need to have it all put together before they do a production. Because I thought the end result came out pretty well, and as you would have seen from the BTS, not everything was perfectly planned, and there were some things that were spontaneous and on the spot that most people would think are pretty amateur, and they actually might have been, but it actually really doesn't matter that much because the end result was something that I'm personally proud of. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the vulnerability, the mistakes, the successes, all of that comes with behind the scenes. And I am 100% going to be making more of these because I see them as really valuable, and some of you guys have been giving me feedback, so I really enjoy them. So if this video was helpful for you, consider subscribing. Please like the video down below, it helps a ton. And yeah, stay tuned for future update. But that's all for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.